Well, good morning. Welcome to lesson 95 of A Course in Miracles. This is a long one today. It's a really cool one. I am one self united with my Creator. Of course, all of these lessons are about that. All of these lessons have the idea of reunification, perhaps, or remembering and reinterpretation of our old mechanisms of attack and defense at their core, so that we can bring about an experience of realizing the truth of that statement, that I'm one self united with my Creator. And today in lesson 95, we're going to really drive that home so that we can attempt to take it on board as our abiding sense of self, experienced or unexperienced, whether we've actually had that experience or not, take it on board as our abiding sense of self, so that we can begin to and continue to carry that with us throughout all interactions, in the face of all relationships, and everywhere we go, etc., throughout the day. Okay, so that we can discover a certain sense of inner peace about ourselves and learn how to maintain it using the principles that this course offers us for our salvation. So I could probably do with a drink of water. You can tell I'm getting a bit dry out here. I live in the tropics. Anyone who doesn't know, I live in, or subtropics, but it's still very warm, very humid. It's a funny idea, isn't it? The idea of location. And this lesson is going to expose the falsity of that. Ready? I am one self united with my Creator. Today's idea accurately describes you as God created you. You are one within yourself and one with Him. Yours is the unity of all creation. Your perfect unity makes changing you impossible. You do not accept this, and you fail to realize it must be so, only because you believe that you have changed yourself already. Okay, the very first experience of change that we had was the experience of separation. That's why we're, in a fundamental sense, terrified of the idea of change as a basis for self-preservation. It's like we found ourselves suddenly in the dark by the misuse of our creative will, and that was terrifying, understandably. But this is a journey back into fear, to look at that place, to go into that place where we think something happened, something changed us, to realize that it's already been healed in the idea of the resurrection. Nothing ever occurred, right? And that we're accepting that healing, accepting that idea of forgiveness for ourselves, atonement for ourselves, so that we can relinquish our old fear-based thought system and be about the happiness and the joy and the peace of the acceptance of the truth of us, okay, as spirit. You see yourself as a ridiculous parody on God's creation, weak, vicious, ugly and sinful, miserable and beset with pain. Such is your version of yourself, a self divided into many warring parts, separate from God and tenuously held together by its erratic and capricious maker, to which you pray. It does not hear your prayers, for it is deaf. It does not see the oneness in you, for it is blind. It does not understand you are the Son of God, for it is senseless and it understands nothing. Senseless. We will attempt today to be aware of only what we will attempt today to be aware only of what can hear and see, and what makes perfect sense. We will again direct our exercises towards reaching your one self, which is united with its Creator. In patience and in hope, we try again today. The use of the first 5 minutes of every waking hour for practicing the idea for the day has special advantages at the stage of learning in which you are at present. Okay, that's really cool. Jesus knows the stage of learning that you are at present. It is difficult at this point not to allow your mind to wander if it undertakes extended attempts. You have surely realized this by now. You have seen the extent of your lack of mental discipline and of your need for mind training. It is necessary that you be aware of this, for it is indeed a hindrance to your advance. Frequent but shorter practice periods have other advantages for you at this time. In addition to recognizing your difficulties with sustained attention, you must also have noticed that unless you are reminded of your purpose frequently, you tend to forget about it for long periods of time. You often fail to remember the short applications of it for the day, and you have not yet formed the habit of using it as an automatic response to temptation. Take that. Structure then is necessary for you at this time. Plan to include frequent reminders of your goal and regular attempts to reach it. Regularity in terms of time is not the ideal requirement for the most beneficial form of practice in salvation. It is advantageous, however, for those whose motivation is inconsistent and who remain heavily defended against learning. Right? If you are inconsistent, you are heavily defended against learning. He's telling you that. It's like, oh my God, I'm heavily defended against learning. Here I am wasting my time reading all this book, perhaps, because suddenly realised well, at least I've found out I'm heavily defended against learning by lesson 95 or whatever we're on today. And I can now open my heart and mind in prayer for the revelation and the release of those defenses so that I can actually devote myself better to learning. We will therefore keep to the 5 minutes an hour practice periods for a while. And that's funny because I got to lesson I've done this workbook twice, and the very first time I did it, I got to lesson, I think it was about 260. So I pretty much wasted the best part of a year. But nothing is really wasted, okay? So I pretty much wasted the best part of a year until I realized finally that I had such a lack of integrity with my effort to do the lessons, okay, with my honesty in doing the lessons, that I made a decision. I saw it, and I was like, oh, thank God, at least I saw it 260 days into the lessons. I went back and did it again the following year, and the result was much different, okay, much different. But it's like we said in those in lessons, I forget which one it was, in the 80s, I mentioned, it's really advantageous if you can find that place in you where I don't want to find God. Right? That's an actual real understanding. I don't want to find God. It's like I don't want to do these lessons. Why the hell am I doing these lessons? Right? I'm always my own worst enemy, and uncovering that place where I've decided against God in my own mind is like an incredible place. If it takes you the whole workbook to discover it, so be it, because once it's discovered, you can offer it for healing and proceed onwards merrily along the way thereafter. Okay. We will therefore keep to the 5 minutes an hour practice periods for a while and urge you to omit as few as possible. Using the first 5 minutes of the hour will be particularly helpful since it imposes firmer structure. Okay. Do not, however, use your lapses from this schedule as an excuse not to return to it again as soon as you can. Okay, the instructions are very specific. You can't go wrong. There may well be an attempt to regard the day as lost because you have already failed to do what is required. This should, however, merely be recognized as what it is, a refusal to let your mistakes be corrected and an unwillingness to try again. He's telling you, you're going to refuse, you're unwilling, right? Exactly what I just mentioned before, right? You always have to come at this as like, I'm an unwilling learner, but I'm learning how to be a happy learner. If I was a happy learner, there would be no need for this workbook lessons. I'm unwilling, I'm refusing. The Holy Spirit is not delayed. The Holy Spirit is not delayed in his teaching by your mistakes. He can be held back only by your unwillingness to let them go. Let us therefore be determined, particularly for the next week or so, to be willing to forgive ourselves for our lapses in diligence and our failures to follow the instructions for practicing the day's idea. This tolerance for weakness will enable us to overlook it rather than give it power to delay our learning. Okay? If we give it power to do this, we are regarding it as strength and confusing strength with weakness. When you fail to comply with the requirements of this course, you have merely made a mistake. This calls for correction and for nothing else. Okay? Don't judge yourself. Don't beat yourself up about it. Just be about the correction. Okay? Help me, Father. To allow a mistake to continue is to make additional mistakes based on the first and reinforcing it. It is this process that must be laid aside, for it is but another way in which you would defend illusions against the truth. Let all these errors go by recognizing them for what they are. They are attempts to keep you unaware you are one self united with your Creator, at one with every aspect of creation and limitless in power and in peace. This is the truth, and nothing else is true. Today we will affirm this truth again and try to reach the place in you in which there is no doubt that only this is true. Begin the practice periods today with this assurance, given to your mind with all the certainty that you can give. With all the certainty that you can give. And if you haven't had any kind of experience yet, any spiritual experience, your certainty is going to be based on faith, okay? And your certainty is going to be based on reason. Is it reasonable? Okay. So, and you only have to, in the beautiful beginning of the course, nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. You only have to fathom the nature of that statement, okay, to be able to bring about a kind of a shift in your consciousness that tells you that there's something reasonable going on here, and you can begin to pursue it if you do these lessons with diligence, as it says here. With all the certainty you can give. I am oneself, united with my Creator, at one with every aspect of creation and limitless in power and peace. Then close your eyes and tell yourself again, slowly and thoughtfully, attempting to allow the meaning of the words to sink into your mind, replacing false ideas. I am one self. Repeat this several times and then attempt to feel the meaning which the words convey. You are one self, united and secure in light and joy and peace. You are God's Son, one self with one Creator and one goal. To bring awareness of this oneness to all minds, that true creation may extend the allness and the unity of God. You are one self, complete and healed and whole, with power to lift the veil of darkness from the world and let the light in you come through to teach the world the truth about itself. You are one self in perfect harmony with all there is and all that there will be. You are one self, the Holy Son of God, united with your brothers in this self, united with your Father in his will. Feel this one self in you and let it shine away all your illusions and your doubts. This is yourself, the Son of God himself, sinless as its creator, with strength within you and his love forever yours. With his strength within you and his love forever yours. You are one self, and it is given you to feel this self within you and to cast all your illusions out of the one mind, which is this self, the holy truth in you. Do not forget today, we need your help, your little part in bringing happiness to all the world. And heaven looks to you in confidence that you will try today. Share then its surety, for it is yours. Be vigilant. Do not forget today. Okay, and it is the light in you that does the work. It's not your own effort. It's just your willingness to allow, through the application and the use of these lessons, that light in you to be activated, to be extended as you take it on board, the nature of the truth about yourself. Okay? You cannot maintain the two perspectives. I can't be the flesh and the spirit. I have to make a choice. I'm either spirit, utilizing this body to help in, as it said here, your help is needed today, to help in a greater plan, okay, to bring about the end of darkness, okay, or I am this flesh and I'm going to die, but I can't be both. You can't reach two diametrically opposed goals at the same time. You have to choose. No man can serve two masters. Okay. Throughout the day, do not forget your goal. Repeat today's idea as frequently as possible and understand each time you do so, someone hears the voice of hope stirring the truth, the stirring of the truth within his mind, the gentle rustling of the winds of peace. Your own acknowledgement you are one self united with your Father is a call to all the world to be at one with you today. Okay? Every thought I have in my mind affects all creation, affects all the nature of time and space, because I'm one with everything I see. And if I serve a fearful thought system, I'm going to see a fearful world out there. If I serve a loving thought system, then all I'm going to see is witnesses to the truth in me, and everything is either a blessing or a lesson. Blessing or a lesson. And as I progress through the lessons, which lead me to the blessings, I become more peaceful and more happy. To everyone you meet today, be sure to give the promise of today's idea and tell him this. You are one self with me, united with our Creator in this self. I honor you because of what I am and what he is, who loves us both as one. Beautiful. All right, well, thank you, and I'll see you tomorrow for lesson 96. Peace.